Hey there, everybody. This is Tavo DRC, Dr. T, Miss T, whatever you want to call me. We're in charge, or, God's given the download to do this, the crossbody unity move as an option. Fill in the gaps, defragging the law, legalism, and accusation. And in ministry accusation, law equals critical Levitical. The term EORR is a vocabulary word for this move. All right, the vocabulary word is equal opportunity, real respect for the office of every human made in God's image. This will defrag bias and accusation and train your people, your youth on up, because you want to be the humble Christ follower that is sent across many people's path, to have that effect that when people show up, I'm really a product of what I've been through. And I saw, not here at all, it's good neighbor, where they're not good neighbors in the subculture of the Christian ministers. This is where I've seen it, dysfunction. So you have to really train people, the ABCs that are not under the law, because they've gotten a subculture. It's just filled with this. And as a stranger, an expat, as a leader who is not famous, boy, you can really get demeaned and the toxic disrespect. So it isn't unforgiveness, not complaining, it's fruit assessment. I will teach you this. Crossbody unity is a vocabulary word, it's a move based on fruit, the love walk, not joining, not being member. We do not offer covering, but I will pray. I'll be glad to pray prayer covering. I'll be glad to be here as an option, and we're going to teach how we do the ins and outs. But crossbody unity is based on the book of Ephesians 4, community, the transformed community. Not papal, but true, according to God's New Testament without the law, is what affects society. And if anything in these times, society has not been affected, and the church should know it and then take accountability to do it. So we can defrag it some more with vocabulary, and also the 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 5, and the 1 Timothy 6, all Paul, that are defragging and noticing the final days subculture of from such turn away fellowships, Christian ministries, people, and also non-Christians. But we're talking not to the non-Christians. We are addressing the churches, and the legalism and all this. Go to visit. This is the thing. We want people to come and come back and hear God, not feel they're in a danger war zone. If I go in as a prophetic seer minister for many years, not toxic, and I'm there just trying to hear God, get away from my own ministry and be with God's people. If they are in false doctrine of the witchcraft, occult, demonic, sin spying, reading my vibes, I will know it. I'm going to let you, why do I know it? As a quiet person, I didn't know it existed until God illuminated, let me know that by grace, because it affects many people, it targets people, it's occult, it's white witchcraft. All right, I liken the perception, how I pick it up, how I perceive it, as a long term, never been around it till the last 15, 20 years. All right, wasn't like that before. I would see, and so much of it, I'll liken it to you feel like you've got an internal drone attack. It's darts. I will know if I'm being scanned. I just know it. I don't know how, but I do, and I don't want to know it. But I'm assessing it, evaluating by the fruit. It's dark, it's spooky, it's unusual, it's cruel, and it's Levitical patriarchism from way back, false teaching. It really is. It's occult. So there's vocabulary in this crossbody move that will help you where you are, maybe encourage you, maybe you've been going through stuff you just didn't know what in the world that was, because there is an invisible realm. But I will share it, but I'm not spooky, I'm not moved by it. I'm not playtime either, and usually where they're really wanting the gifts more than love, more than the Holy Spirit, more than the cross, that's where I found it. You can go and they look good, they're putting on a great, maybe famous or not, but where they're non-contrite, no holy fear of the Lord, and loveless, is where they only want their move, their turf, their gifts, and they're precision seers that will sit there and scowl and read you, and you will know it. I mean, really, it is. So some really interesting, curious things. One of the teachings has come out of that, how do you tell true and false people, true and false prophets and all that? That's always the buzz. One of the things we've learned is a lot about this. And one of the things is, I will warn you from the two things. One, beware. You ought to beware of the scowls of false doctrine, the frowns. If they're basically leadership teams that are frowning and scowling, not joyful like Jesus, watch out. That's a sign for accusation later, big boss, Phariseeism, and occult, witch watching, defiling people by mistake. I'll be gracious, by mistake. I don't think they intend to, but they just don't know. We'll teach you. All right. You want to have a safe Christian ministry. It has caused me for the last 25 years to delve deeply into my own heart. Am I doing that? Do I am I reading it wrong? Do I unforgive them? No, I don't forgive them. I forgive them, but I have to teach it because it's that big and that affecting the Holy Spirit. It seems to be controlling, overseer, lording over the lying spirit of demonic, putting them on witch lists that they've never talked to. This is it. So I get passionate, really, I'm trying to do this to stir them up because they're going to suffer loss from the Lord, and then they're going to hurt people, murder people. If you, in your saintly cassock and hide away, have your people scanning, praying against, and targeting people you have never once fellowshipped with, spoken to, and respected. You've not submitted to 1 John 1:7. If we walk in the light as he is in the light, then we have fellowship with one another, and the blood of Christ will cleanse us from all sin. If you've never done that, if you don't know about community, it's only your turf, then you are controlling personality. You really are. So we're trying to defrag it for the harvest and make all the people that are relocating, all the people that are seeking, all the people that are transgender. People don't want to go because they know they're going to be Pharisee accused. You can hear it on the TV, all the rumors. If I had never experienced this dysfunction after peaceful decades and joyful, and know so many now that don't do it, if I hadn't experienced reality just for wanting to grow and know more about Holy Spirit, deep prophetic worship, I would never have found this out. Why? God gave me mercy to have great parents, but I also am a discerner. I don't go in there and just get hooked. I really watch I'm a noble Berean and will study it, and I'll watch the audience, and I'll watch the fruit, I'll watch my own heart. So if you are called as an intercessor, you better be watchful of this group. I am an intercessor for many years and come from that, but they weren't like that. So you have to have your knowledge and your wits about you and your skills. So two things, and I'm going to sign off for this part, that let you know you better watch out for false doctrine is critical Levitical. If they're critical, that means they're usually legalists. They'll come and get you later, gossips, and also the fault finding, reading you and never speaking, but the scowls, big one, the scowls of false doctrine. Look up Jesus. Cause me to look up Jesus. Hebrews 1:9, Jesus Christ, the head prophet, head apostle of the church. He was filled with the oil and joy of gladness above his fellows. He had joy. The prophet office had joy. Joy unspeakable, all right? It said because he hated iniquity, hated evil, but not the sinner. And he loved what was righteous, but he was pure heart, not self-righteous, not accusing, all right? Not lowlier than thou or higher than thou. He was even keel and joy. God bless you. He loves you. This is Tavo D'Arcy signing off for now. God bless.